Greetings, folks, and welcome to Command, Chains of War. I'm Ebereg, and this is the God of War scenario. The outcome of the South Korean strike on North Korean forces was a clear military victory, but would have terrible political outcomes. The first was that Kim Jong-un was infuriated, and after proclaiming several nuclear threats, was able to secure several key concessions from the United States and China as the US desperately tried to defuse the situation. This would not only allow Kim Jong-un and his regime to remain in power for the immediate future, but they can now claim victory out of a military defeat. Regional bad actors now had a very good example of where aggressive foreign policies could pay off. The second was that the American policymakers, media, and public started a public debate questioning the value of defending an aggressive ally that clearly did not need it. America's armed forces and defense budget were already committed to fighting the world war against terrorism all over the world, and should not be squandered to shore up a now strong South Korean army despite long-standing defense commitments. American allies and rivals in the region viewed this as evidence that the United States was a distracted, declining superpower whose stake in the region was as morally hollow as the political and media-driven hubris that seemed to consume it. It was no longer perceived to be a trusted ally and was no longer to be entrusted with the security of the global commons. Oh boy. The Chinese Politburo had evolved into an adept management team whose analytical skills could rival any modern board of directors, and with the change in Asia's political climate, they saw opportunity. Their primary responsibility was to position China to continue to grow and prosper as an industrial, military, and economic superpower. To do that, they needed to ensure that China's energy routes were under its permanent control quickly, as rivals were growing their military power and would soon challenge these routes to contain or influence China. Past politics and American dominance in the region had made that difficult, but now with that gone, the biggest concern was speed, and that is why the Politburo turned to the Chinese military to help. War would be the most efficient path forward, and it was felt that China's military was as strong as it would ever be, and its rivals never as weak. Fortune favors the bold. With Chinese defense and energy security experts looking at the map, they saw two lines of nations and islands that must be brought under Chinese control. The line runs from Vietnam to Japan and includes the Spratly Islands, Taiwan, the Philippines, and the Ryukyu Island chain. The second line runs from northern Japan far south through the Mariana Island chains to the eastern Indonesian islands. Currently, China's rivals and adversaries control most of these two lines, which in effect contain China behind a wall of sea and air power. Overcoming these two lines was a considerable challenge that was not unlike the Japanese or American war strategies in World War II, in that they had to control many distant territories thousands of miles from their homeland. The difference is that they didn't have the manpower, amphibious, or economic capacity to support a massive Pacific-wide invasion. What they could do instead is use their now modernized military, air, sea, and space power to take or destroy key nodes and disrupt the ability of their adversaries to take a stand. America and Russia had provided successful examples of this in the preceding decade, and China now had the capacity to carry out the same. The lines would either be neutralized or taken, one after another, and no foreign power could interfere in the politics and economics of the day. Vietnam had emerged from devastating conflicts during the Cold War into a nation on a fast track to become regional power. It had made peace with the United States and had reached out and invited in foreign investment and economic development worldwide. It had not attempted a lasting peak in China, and by all accounts, was making considerable arms purchases to counter China's military power. It had opened up Cam Ranh Bay's facilities to foreign warships, and politically was sided against China in all Spratly Island disputes. Given all of this, it was the necessary first target in China's Great War in the Pacific. So, Command would like me to remove Vietnam as a threat to PRC interests in the South China Sea. My task is to conduct a preemptive surprise attack that will destroy all air and sea forces capable of offensive operations with a focus on newer platforms acquired from Russia. I have 36 hours to accomplish my tasks. My targets are broadly the Vietnamese Navy and Air Force. I am to try both to make them unable to impact future operations in the South China Sea. Critical targets are Su-30 regiments at Kep, Bai Tuong, and Ban Hua air bases, an Su-27 regiment at Phan Rang Air Base, an Su-22 M4 regiment at Da Nang Airport, 2 Gepard frigates, 4 Terror and Toll corvettes, and 5 Kilo submarines based at Cam Ranh Bay. The air threat is a mixture of ultramodern and obsolete Russian client-state surface-to-air missile and fighter aircraft weapon systems. Most are situated around the Hanoi area in the north and Ho Chi Minh City in the south. The greatest threats are modern flanker fighters and several modern SAM systems, including SA-20A, S-300, SA-17 Buk, and the Israeli Spider. Vietnam still maintains numerous SA-2 Guideline and SA-3 GOA SAM sites, older MiG-21 interceptors, and low-end SHORAD and AAA systems. They are all at a peacetime posture, but can be expected to ramp up operations quickly, bringing more assets into the battle. Vietnam does maintain a small force of Soviet and North Korean Scud missiles. Their range is limited, but expect bases near the border to come under ballistic missile attack. Okay, no air order of battle. Su-30 regiment at Bien Hoa, Su-27 regiment at Phan Rang, Su-22 regiment at Da Nang, Su-30 regiment at Bai Tuong, Su-30 regiment at Kep, MiG-21 regiment at Kien An, and MiG-21 regiment at Yen Bai. The sea threat consists of modern missile-armed Gepard, FFG, and Tarantul corvettes and Kilo submarines, along with several offshore patrol craft and small ASW combatants. At last report, all are in port at Cam Ranh with the exception of 2 Kilo SSKs. Given Vietnamese submarine force operational patterns, they are likely exercising or patrolling off Cam Ranh Bay. In the event of an attack, you can expect these forces to soar in one terrain. Assets. The PLAF, PLAN, and PLA have allocated considerable forces to accomplishing this task. Actually, I don't really care, but I do have an SSM battery, which I'm really not going to use, so let's do this. First thing we need to do is look at our assets. Let's see, what's that? G's, fish beds. I wonder if I should use them. Nah. Okay, let's go to Zanyi Air Base. Probably shouldn't arm this flanker, but I probably should arm these without their DUCM pods. Let's go to Tianyang Air Base. Notice I have some Flanders armed as reserve. Let's arm them with the laser guided bombs or standard range bombs. I'm gonna arm them with laser guided bombs. I have these. Oh, J-20 Mighty Dragons. So let's arm these with PL-15 standard intercept, and let's also arm these with PL-15 standard intercept. See, I don't want them to carry very external fuel tanks. That's going to compromise their stealth profile. These wingmans, these Midases. Let's see it. Wushu, fish beds. Yeah, no. Guiping Manchu. Okay, we have a bunch of naval bombers. Let's arm these with YJ-12 anti-ship missiles. Just in case. We might not need them, but then again, we might. Go here. And let's arm these with the long-range laser guided bomb loadout. These are armed with the short-range loadout, which seriously limits their range. But whatever. Okay. Let's go to Shandong. Nothing here to worry about. Let's go to Suishi. Yes, it's hiding behind a radar site. Okay, these guys are armed with kazoos. Let's arm the one that's on this reserve. With some more kazoos. Okay, these 16 flying sharks are this VCM. Yeah. Stories of Geopolitical. Let's arm these with kryptonites. It's gonna take 10 hours. Ugh. And let's arm these as fighters. Let's go to Ling Shui. A bunch of finbacks and some flankers. Let's go to Ledong. Okay, these are armed as reserve. Let's see what we can arm them with. Let's arm them with laser guided bombs. Okay. And let's go to Woody Island Airstrip. Yeah, that's not going to be much help. And let's group up these guys and these guys. So now let's set up a few missions. Let's set up one here. Add new mission, call it Blinders North. This is a support mission. And let's add these Y8 Cubs to it. Don't allow them to refuel. And set their jammers to active. And let's define an area here. Add new mission. Call it Sky Eye. It's a support mission. And let's add these KJ-200 Cubs to it. Don't allow refueling. And set the radars to active. And define an area here. Add new mission. Call it Blinders East. It's a support mission. And we're gonna add these Cubs to it. Do not allow refueling. Turn the jammers to active. And let's finally bring these HQ-9s down closer to the Vietnamese border. And one last thing, let's go to the side drive and bump release authorization. We only have a limited supply of PL-15s, and they are very good. So I'm going to tell these guys not to use PL-15s against third generation or less capable fighters. So let's move on forward. Okay. So let's set up a few more missions. Add new mission, call it Fighter Sweep North. It's an aircraft warfare patrol that is inactive. Don't investigate unknown contacts outside of the patrol area or within weapons range. And let's look at what we have. Assign these guys to Fighter Sweep North. Assign these guys to Fighter Sweep North. Go to Tianyang. Assign all of these guys to Fire Sweep North. Got repayment show. Alright. Glenn. Assign these guys to Fire Sweep North. And assign these guys to Fire Sweep North. Let's go to Sweet She. And, these guys need their quick turnarounds turn around. Assign these guys to Fire Sweep North. And go to Geopolitical. And assign these guys to Fighter Sweep North. And assign these guys to Fighter Sweep North. Now let's find another area around about here. And mission. Call it Fighter Sweep East. It's an anti-aircraft warfare patrol that is inactive. Do investigate unknown contacts outside the patrol area within weapons range. And go to Ling Shui and add all of these finbacks to Fighter Sweep East, as well as these flankers. Go to White Island Airstrip and add these flankers to Fighter Sweep East. So let's bring Group 4609 down here at flank speed, and let's bring Group 4610 down here, and let's also bring our submarines in. And yeah, let's unpause time and see what happens. This path and logic is really annoying. Let's go to Shaodong and launch all of these Badgers armed with KD-63s. Okay, and bring them down here. Okay, we're detecting a bunch of shit. Blinders North isn't close enough. Let's get it closer. Let's get it even closer. Okay, so let's go to Tianyang and launch our flounders in groups of 4. Depath these guys. Okay, these flounders are taking off. And let's bring them over here, then here down to Yanbai. These flounders are taking off. Let's bring them down here and down here to this gargoyle. Okay, let's get this guy to hit the deck before he crosses into North Vietnamese air territory. Into Vietnamese territory, not North Vietnamese. I forgot South Vietnam doesn't exist anymore. Let's bring this waypoint over here so this guy doesn't get spotted by this surveillance radar. And yeah, let's bring him to hit the deck. Closer. Come on, get closer. Okay. Now this guy is within range of this gargoyle. Let's fire all of our kryptonite. Okay, he's returning to base. Let's get him to do so at minimum altitude. Okay, the gargoyle is engaging those kryptons. Okay. Let's see. Let's go to losses and expenditures. Yeah, that gargoyle is out of the picture. Let's filter it out. And let's get this guy to fire on this gargoyle. Okay, he's RTB. Let's get him to do so at minimum altitude. Let's depath this guy. And the North Koreans are taking off. Okay, let's look at plus. Yeah, that guy's taken out as well. Let's filter him out. Okay, let's bring this guy down here. No, let's not. Let's go to the mission editor and activate the fighter sweeps. And while we're at it, let's just launch 2 missiles at this guy. You know, just for fun. Okay, let's turn off the manual override on this guy. And let's get this guy to come to a stop. And now he's firing on these flankers. Okay. Oh boy. That didn't end well for them. Mark these guys as hostile. Mark these guys as hostile. And turn off the manual overrides on these guys. Okay, get this guy to come to a stop. What happened? Oh, we took out this guy. And there's time, but we're not done quite yet. Okay, now we're done. So, that's it for now, folks. This is Everegg. I'll see ya next time.